Hello YouTube, I'm Toby. Now this is once again a video about the $32 custom water cooling loop. Now so far we've tried the correct cooling fluid and we've also tried milk. I said I may not be doing this again, but I've kind of gotten the idea into my head just to simply test out different kinds of cooling fluid. So today we have a jug of sprinkler fluid. Now my biggest fear about this is that it may actually start to dissolve the different components in this loop, but nothing dares, nothing wins. So before we start pouring, just a quick recap. With the regular air cooling, the CPU reached 56 degrees Celsius. With the milk, it reached 51 degrees Celsius, and with the appropriate cooling fluid, it reached 50 degrees Celsius. Now this video may be a little spaced out from the other one, but it was actually just yesterday I did the milk video, and I still think there's some residue left in here. I'm not sure I got it all cleaned out, but I guess we'll find out. Alright, so our idling temperature is high 20s, low 30s, which is to be expected. Let's try and run Cinebench R15. So, Cinebench gave us 265 CB and we reached a maximum temperature of 46 degrees Celsius. Well, nothing special there, that was pretty much the expected range. We're currently running the Firmark CPU burner test, and we'll be running this for approximately 10 minutes just to see what kind of temperatures we reach. Well, great, the CPU burner has been running for 10 minutes now and we reached a maximum temperature of 50 degrees. This is pretty much just the same as with the regular cooling fluid. So what are the long-term effects of using sprinkler fluid in your water cooling loop? Well, I don't know. Well, at least I'm gonna say I don't know yet. Because I'm going to keep this, the sprinkler fluid in this loop for a while, just to see if it has any long-term adverse effects on the system. Alright, so this thing has been running with sprinkler fluid in it for quite a while. Now it's been a couple of weeks before I made the first part of this video, but I've noted down every time I've used this system. And so far it's been running for almost 17 hours on sprinkler fluid. Now I did have to refill once just to top off the reservoir. I think some of the ethanol alcohol in the mix may have evaporated. Now the highest temperature I was able to reach on the CPU was 63 degrees Celsius. Now normally this system don't exceed 51 degrees Celsius, but this graphics card in here gets up to 105 degrees Celsius, so I pretty much in an attempt to torture the system, I just put the side panel on and covered all the openings. And I just let both the graphics card and the CPU run some pretty hard benchmarks. And thus the CPU reached 63 degrees Celsius, but it was just a peak up there. It was just pretty much averaging around 61 degrees Celsius, so no issues there on the CPU. Now after this thermal torture of this system, I did see some things I wasn't too happy about. Some of the epoxy I used to secure the system had flaked off, and a piece got lodged from the pump into the pipe, and after a while it got sucked up into the radiator, and I haven't really seen it since. So, the system still seems to function, so it's not a huge issue, although I kind of imagine that this system may be slowly tearing itself apart. Now I don't believe that this is the fault of the sprinkler fluid, it's more the heat that I put into the system when I was running the thermal torture test. I think that may have been what did it to it. But what do you say we run one last benchmark on the system? Now we're running the Firmark CPU burner test, and we'll be running this for about 10 minutes, just the same as we did when we first built this system. Well, great, the stress test has been running for 10 minutes more or less, and we've reached a maximum temperature of 51 degrees Celsius. Alright, the loop works as good as it used to. There's no real difference from when I started to when I finished with these 17 hours. Now, something kind of interesting I realized is that inside this reservoir right here, there are droplets forming on the upper roof of the reservoir. I believe this is alcohol, evaporated alcohol that evaporates and goes, well, condenses on the surface. But I'm not entirely sure, but I just thought that was kind of fun to point out. So in conclusion, well, at least for this loop, sprinkler fluid is a viable and fairly cheap way to cool your, well, this particular system. Now keep in mind that pretty much every loop is different. Some contain different components, so maybe sprinkler fluid may not be good for that one, but I at least thought this was a cool experiment. I really truly didn't believe it would last this long and do this good. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching.